So today I want to talk about your own personal wealth. There's so many components to it, and I'm going to start teaching about abundance and wealth again here shortly. But today I just want to talk specifically about your own personal wealth and how you can begin to take more control of that. So stay tuned because we're getting started right now. So welcome back, y'all. I'm Debbie Dobbins. I'm your host for this episode of Your Wichita Falls. And for those of you that spend any time on this channel, you know that I love Wichita Falls. I love sharing about Wichita Falls. I love talking about real estate and mortgages and all of that other stuff. But what I really love speaking about more than anything on the planet is how you can build wealth, abundance, more money, more cash, whatever you want to call it. And it isn't just in real estate because there's so many other components, especially your mindset. That's another video that we'll talk about in another time. But here's the thing. I keep hearing all of this conversation out in the world right now that it's better to rent than it is to own right now. Oh my gosh. That makes me so insane, especially since I've been teaching about owning real estate, especially your first home, for decades. And those decades have been fraught with, and the reason people are saying it's better to rent than it is to buy right now is because the interest rates are, higher than they were last year. But here's the thing, as I've shared this on so many videos, is the interest rate is just the average interest rate for the last century. And I've sold loans when they were 18% interest, so 6 and 7, not so scary. Actually, you can still be better off when you buy a house than rent with that interest rate, because that's a great interest rate. That's the thing, is that you really have to get that through your mindset, that that's a great interest rate. But why on earth would people be saying that it's better to rent than own right now? There's a couple of different reasons, and once again, the media raises its, crazy snake head and says these kind of things in reports. In the news, it's better to rent right now than it is to own your own home. Holy guacamole. First of all, I want to talk to you about this from your own personal wealth perspective, because I've been sharing this with individuals, people, as I said, for decades upon decades. And the reason, I shared it on tons of videos, but I'm going to share it again so that you can really clearly understand that your personal wealth and your independence, and people say they want to have money, which I find fascinating because I teach money and abundance. They say they want to have money for various reasons, and generally if you drill it down and distill it down, it's because they want freedom. Well, number one lack of freedom, well actually there's two big lacks of freedom. Your job, which a lot of people hate, so there's no freedom in that. So we'll talk about that in another video. But the other component of no freedom is being a renter. Holy guacamole. If you're a renter, who has control over your life? Your landlord. And you have no say-so in it, no matter how much you think you do and how much you believe that you have a great landlord or you have a great friend that's your landlord or any version thereof. Because what happens is that landlord impacts your decisions. So understanding what these ideas that are being put out there are based on about why it's better to rent, well, they're assuming things that aren't realistic for the average household. And let me explain a couple of the reasons that they say renting is better than buying, which I find absolutely ludicrous. And I would say the same thing, a decade ago, 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago. It doesn't matter. It's a test of time. And being a homeowner, one of the American dreams, owning your own home, car in every garage, and chicken in a pot, or 2.5 kids. I can't remember the whole American dream because I didn't follow most of it except for the home ownership part. So the media is saying in a couple of these reports that renting is the smarter financial option because of the opportunity to invest money elsewhere. Oh my goodness. That is the part that cracks me up.
The opportunity to invest money elsewhere.
Now let's think about that. Where are the other opportunities to invest your money? Stocks, bonds, crypto, being a shareholder, being an investment banker, investing in a company. I think investing in your own company is an absolute spectacular idea, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about investing your money. So in other words, don't buy into the real estate market because the prices are going to go here or they're going to go there or the interest rate is up or down or somewhere sideways. And the fact of the matter is that real estate throughout history has been the best investment opportunity on the planet, bar none. And right now, with the volatility in the stock market, so many stockholders, companies, 401k investors, all of the people that handle the big funds are going into bonds, which they feel is a flight to safety because there's so much volatility going on with the stock market. And crypto, well, if you watch the news, you see what's going on with that. Now, yes, can you invest in gold? Can you invest in precious metals? Yes, but here's the thing about that, and that also is probably the first time I'm starting to say have these kind of conversations, is we're going off of any kind of gold standard, if you will. And I mean, money's not been supported by gold in a long, long time. And the fact of the matter is once we get to a certain crisis point, because we are going towards a no cash society. Basically, I know crypto is what crypto is, but the powers that be want us to be all on some sort of technological currency, which is all in somebody else's control. So the thing about real estate is that it's yours and you can live in it and you can put other people in it. I think it's so interesting to watch the dynamics of what's happening in the economy right now. The fact of the matter is that investing your money elsewhere because you're a renter is I find it absolutely hilarious. This sort of theory assumes that if you were a homeowner, you're going to sell your house and you're going to become a renter and then take that extra money and spend it on some type of investment. Because if you're a homeowner and once you get a taste for that, you really don't go back. Honestly, I just know very, very, very few cases where that happens. If they're taking the assumption that you're a renter and you shouldn't buy right now and you've always been a renter, but that you spend that money that you would spend on a house, which actually is so little, in investing in something else, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because the idea that you would take the money that would be tied to buying a house and the cost of that and putting it in an investment portfolio, okay, come on, let's be real. How many people do you know that would do that? Because being a renter and buying a house is such an easy transition with minimal down payments, with down payment assistance, with all the things that people can get to help them move into a house and be a homeowner, which is tantamount really to first and last month's rent. What? Why would you not do that? I mean, it makes no sense, but it's out there in the public domain, so it cracks me up. But here's the thing. This is the most important part.
People who rent aren't making those investment commitments. They're just not.
They don't do that. And some, pundit said one of the difficulties with the rent and reinvest model is that many people, all of these renters, because there's two types, as I just said, one that went from selling their house to being a renter, which is highly unusual, or a renter, they simply rent and spend the difference because they're living hand to mouth. Because once you stop renting and become a homeowner, then you begin to build wealth. That is what's so amazing about real estate. And that's why I'm so adamant about people building their wealth portfolio, because it's a great retirement plan. And I'm telling you, I don't care if you're 60 years old and you just start now with investing in real estate, you can retire in ease. But you have to be strategic about it. That's actually when a renter takes their money and instead of investing it in anything, they just spend it on whatever comes up for them. That's actually wealth destroying. So think about this. How do you want to build abundance and wealth in your life? The reason home ownership is one of the best investments, and I've talked about it ad nauseum really, is that you can make wealth while you live in the house. This is what's so fabulous. And honestly, it doesn't really depend on the market. Real estate is a long game, and I don't mean long meaning 15 years, but 3 years is a pretty good chunk of time to weather any kind of market. Like this market that we're in right now, it will be up and down and it'll have a little blip here and there. But at the end of the day, every single time you make a payment, regardless of whether or not the house appreciates or depreciates, you're going to be building wealth by paying down the principal balance. Here's the value of your house, here's your balance, and every time that gap increases, that's money for you in your pocket. It's wealth. And will you get that from rent? Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. So just even the fact that you buy a house, make payments on it, create a balance reduction in your principal is building wealth. And that is a better investment than giving it to a fund manager for a 401k or an IRA who's just going to give you basically minimal return, if at all. And right now the markets are down, so you're all losing money in those accounts. And you sit there and you worry and you wring your hands when you could be looking at your mortgage statement and seeing that balance go down every time you make a payment, and know that that money is your money to keep. It's just amazing. That's why there's such a significant difference between the net worth of the average homeowner and the average renter. Actually, it's night and day. So here's a graph so you can look. It's insane. So why on earth would you be waiting to see what the market is going to do instead of just buying a house? If you have not bought your first house, which is actually the best way to go, if you want to become a real estate investor of any kind, buy your first house with a minimum down, stay in it for 2 years, then rent it. Buy the next one, then rent it. I mean, it's so simple and so easy. But the average renter, zippo, seriously. So before you renew your lease, your rental agreement, or any of that, if you're a renter, or if you're a homeowner waiting to think about what you want to do next, taking that home that you live in, using the equity to buy a bigger property, or in the alternative, renting it out and then buying your next property for minimal down and start building that wealth. Because wealth is the name of the game. If you are over 40 and you don't have a retirement plan, this is where you begin. You begin by buying real estate. Think about the opportunities to build wealth that homeownership provides. It is absolutely, without question, the best investment on the planet. I'm getting off my soapbox now. There's 2 more videos coming up. If you want to schedule a Zoom call with me, there's a link in the first comments below so that I can share the good news. I feel like, I'm preaching the Bible. It is the Bible. It's the Bible of wealth. You want to know more about how you can build more wealth in your life, stay tuned to this channel because I have a lot more coming up. I am really on fire about teaching people about abundance, about wealth, about how money works, about all of those things that allow you to feel more abundant in your life. And as I always say, y'all come back now, you hear? Bye-bye.